Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's Vin PF, and on today's episode we've got another Whisky In, Whisky Out, this time for the month of November 2024. You know the drill. If you want to skip ahead to any of the sections of this, feel free to do so below, and all my reviews and links to these will be in the description below, so if you want to see my full thoughts on any of these bottles, go and check out the description. Let's get into Whisky In and see what we've got this month. Pretty big one this month, as always seems to be the case around December, but let's do these as a little duo, because I covered them as a duo. These are the two new Heroes and Heretics bottles in the Classic series. We've got here a 33-year Aberfeldy, which, you know, it's down at it's 40.4%, but don't let that detract from it, because that's a really, really stunning whiskey, and it's kind of release brother, let's say. And this is a Bruichladdich 14-year-old, which again, I mean, this one was a bit of a mind-boggling one, really, because it was like easily the nuttiest whiskey I've ever had in my life, which is nuts. Not cheap, but, you know, unashamedly so as well. Let's move these back so you can see them. Okay, then we've got here, as I said, I've covered those as well, so you can go and check out the reviews for that. This is the Wireworks Bourbon Barrel, which, of course, if you've been following my channel, and of course Jeff Whiskey, we did the English Whiskey Awards fairly recently. This one won Best English Whiskey this year, which I think is pretty cool, and after that I managed to get a review out pretty quick as well, so again you can go and see my full review of that. But if you're even remotely interested in English whiskey, to be fair, even if you're not, you should definitely keep these guys on your radar, because they're producing stunning stuff, well worth checking out. Then again, I've already covered that and this now as well, doing well this month for catching up with my new reviews. This right here is the brand new Glasgow 1770 Batch 2 peated cask strength. Now, I think, as I said in the review for this, I love the standard peated. I love the batch strength, batch number 1, so much so that I bottled my own single cask version of it. Now this one here is the batch 2, 1,000 bottles available, so should still be around just about. But as I've been saying to everybody, if you missed out on my bottling and wanted to jump in, this is the next best thing to that. You know, in fact, it's probably even a little juicier, as I say on my review, but one not to miss, I don't think. Now, this one's a little bit special. We've got here a new Glenellicky. This one's actually exclusive to glenellicky.com, and if you keep your eyes on the channel, this will probably be my next review due later this week. But what we've got here is an Oloroso 12-year-old for 57.1%, which is pretty good. You know, let me show you this quickly. Oh my god, look at that. Yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm not really one to go on about colour on the channel, but when it looks like that, you can't really not, can you? But yeah, keep your eyes peeled, because that review will be coming very, very soon. Right, we've got here a Mossburn Distillers and Blenders. You know, these are the guys who run Torvig, and they've got here a Speyside Blend malt that's been finished in a Calvados cask. Have covered this as well, so if you're interested, go and check it out. But this is pretty cool, because it's a blend of 4 different Speyside distilleries, although I don't know which ones they are. And yeah, I would say, you know, 57.2%, pretty good. You know, I really enjoyed that. It was nearly as good as their rum cask last year, and I say that in all possible kind of endearment, because that rum cask was stunning last year, and that's like a very, very close runner-up to it. Again, probably coming up on the channel maybe next week now. This here is the Christmas whiskey from the Whiskey Exchange, a good old-fashioned Christmas whiskey, and it's a 15-year-old from a secret distillery. I am tempted to try and find out what distillery it is, but I think part of it is just the not knowing. You know, the reason why it's probably relatively inexpensive is that you don't know what distillery it is. That's probably the best way of saying it. But yeah, it looks cool. It's got this nice little bow, which I learnt today to not touch too much, because it isn't super tight on there. But yeah, a little gimmick on there. It did come with some wax on there. I know some of you guys love that wax. I'm not a fan personally, but it was there nonetheless. But yeah, I won't give my thoughts on that just yet, because that's going to be a review coming very soon indeed. But a nice little Christmas whiskey nonetheless. Keeping on going then, We've got here a new Lakes release. This is the Whiskey Makers Editions Nostalgia, 49%. They've got kind of 2 different versions of what they do. They've got their, you know, their Whiskey Makers Reserve, and then they've got the Whiskey Makers Editions. Can't really tell you too much about this at the moment. Haven't really delved too deep into it, but it's the Lakes, man. They make good quality whiskey, so I shall be covering that very soon indeed. Next up, we've got, this is an interesting one. This is from Gefrin, sort of. This is their Tacnbora, which is their blended whiskey. From what I found out when I spoke to Fran at the English Whiskey Festival, this is a blend of Irish grains and Scottish grains, and all over the place. So there's a lot of grain in this, nonetheless. However, I found it to be pretty palatable, actually, considering youthful grain. I love grain. I love grain whiskey. Youthful grain, not so much, but we'll see with this one. I'm not sure about ages, but I'll go into this one in greater depth before. But this is basically their way of saying that they intend to be a whiskey distillery, but putting something out before that they actually have any whiskey, which should probably be next year. So it'll be up to you whether you think that's interesting or not, but I'll do my review of it pretty soon and you can decide for yourselves. Finally then, but not least by any stretch, is this year's Bimber exclusive to the whiskey world. Again, I've covered this already. Really enjoyed last year's one, which is actually up on the shelf just beyond view because it doesn't fit in the Kallax. But again, they sent me this, and this is the Oloroso one instead of PX, so you know what to expect with that, I imagine, if you're into kind of sherry finishes. But a really lovely whiskey that was, I think, affordable, really. It's 100 quid, but still, in terms of what you're getting, I think it's pretty good, especially when you look at the more recent releases from Bimber and their new 8-year-old, which is just about to come out. Okay. That's it for Whisky In, which is, again, a solid month. But funnily enough, I've not really been drinking that much whiskey this month, so I only have 2 bottle kills. Let's get into the Whisky Out. First one then, seeing as I got a new peated in, I wanted to get rid of this. This is the Glasgow 1770 peated non-cask strength. They're 46%. But you might notice this is the 50 cl bottle. Yeah, this was my last one of their tiny bottles, so I wanted to get it gone. It looks good on the aesthetic up there. I've got one shelf dedicated to Glasgow pretty much, and now they're all full-size bottles. So yeah, sorry to see it go, but I do have 2 bottles of the cask strength to replace it, so I'm not too worried about missing out on that one. But it was a superb one, and my whiskey of 2020, so you can sort of see how long that's been knocking around on my shelf for. Well worth killing. Finally then, the first of these Loch Lomonds from Aquavitae to die was actually not the first release. It was the 12-year-old. That sort of says it all to me. On my videos for these, I sort of compared all of them, and my last thing that I said was I prefer the 14-year-old to the 12-year-old. And that rings true, to be fair, because what's happened then is I've put the 14-year-old at the back of the cabinet. This one's edged itself towards the front a little bit, but as I was looking to clear different cabinets for different spaces, they're not really organised, but there is some element of organisation to it. When one particular cube starts getting full, I start looking for the lowest bottle, and this was it. So it's gone, but that's my first Aquavitae bottle killed, I think. Yeah, fair play to him. Really, really good liquid. Very interested in trying more from them and from Loch Lomond and whatnot, because all good. There you go. That's my Whisky In, Whisky Out for this month. Let me know in the comments below what your Whisky In and Whisky Out was as well, so we'd love to have a little chat about that, or just chuck anything in the comments and we'll have a little talk. But in any case, I'll see you on videos coming soon. Cheers.